What's going on, everybody out there? Welcome back to the Totally Justified Thinking YouTube channel. I'm your host, as always, TJT, and today I'm going to be sharing you guys the list of my personal top 10 favorite rappers of all time and why I choose these top 10. As a short disclaimer, I just want to let you guys know this is my personal top 10 list, and this is just my personal opinion. I'm not saying that I'm right or that my list is the only acceptable list. So just take it for what it is, and without further ado, let's get right into it with my personal top 10 favorite rappers of all time. Alright, so first on my list, I'm going to start it off with the legend Tupac Shakur. Tupac makes my list because no rapper can ever match the raw emotion that he put into each and every one of his songs. Like when he rapped about how he was suicidal and he rapped about how he knew he was going to die and he knew people that were going to kill him. Like, you just can't compare to that. Like, no one can match that, like, raw emotion that he had. And just, like, the knowledge that, like, you knew you were going to die and, like, he turned out to be right. You can't top that. All right, so coming up next on the list, I've got another legend in Biggie Smalls, the Notorious B.I.G. The Notorious B.I.G. makes the list because he just had probably like the smoothest flow of all time, not to mention just like the most insane punchlines that make you just hop out of your seat over and over again. His music was produced like exceptionally well by P. Diddy. He has so many moments throughout his song that you just want to hear over and over again. His songs are timeless and they never ever get old. Alright, so coming up next on the list, I've got Nasir Jones, aka Nasty Nas. Nas makes this list because he has arguably the greatest rap album of all time with Illmatic and arguably the greatest diss record of all time with Ether, not to mention a host of other incredibly socio-conscious political songs that reference real issues and concern real things that are happening to us and the people in the world. Nas keeps it realer than anybody else ever before or after. Right, coming up next on the list, we got Reggie Noble, aka Redman. Redman makes this list because, like, lyrically and musically, he did things on his first album, What the Album, and subsequent albums that no rapper has ever done before or since. Just in terms of just like experimental things, little sound bits in the songs that you've never heard anywhere before. Redman probably has the most unique style of any East Coast rapper ever. You cannot duplicate Redman's style; it's impossible. All right, so next on the list, we got Talib Kweli, another one of my personal all-time favorites. Talib Kweli is one half of the duo Black Star, and he makes this list because he's arguably the most conscious rapper of all time. A lot of Talib Kweli's lyrics concern socio-political issues that concern the African-American community and just the impoverished community in general, and Talib Kweli keeps it realer than anyone. His songs are incredibly conscious, and if you want hip-hop music with real content and real, no, like, misogyny or anything, listen to Talib Kweli. Coming up next on the list, we have Andre 3000, one half of the duo Outkast. Andre 3000 makes the list because he probably has the dopest flow ever, and his contribution to three of the greatest rap albums of all time just cannot go without mention. Andre gets bashed a lot because they say after Aquemini he kind of fell off and hasn't done anything since then. I think Andre 3000's performances on Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music, AT Aliens, and Aquemini are good enough to have him certified on this list alone. Those three albums are enough for me. All right, next on the list, we've got Big L, the legend Big L. Even though he only had one album, Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, in 1995, that album is just so exceptional in terms of like the density of his rhyme schemes, the punchlines he has, the flow, the multi-syllabic rhymes that he uses, that I had to throw Big L into my personal top 10 list. Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous is just too good to ignore, and Big L is just too dope to not have on this list, regardless of the fact that he only has one album to his name. All right, so next up on the list, we have E40. E40, I think, along with Redman, are the two most unique rappers of all time with, like, the style that is just impossible to replicate. E40's delivery and his vocal tone, his voice, and his flow, how he does it is just impossible to duplicate. It's like 100% authentic, completely original, and he's had the same style since, like, the early 90s, and he's rode with it for about 30 years. It's undeniable, the E40's top 10 on my favorite list. All right, so coming up next on the list, we got the guy who I consider to be the most underrated rapper of all time, AZ. AZ first got his start on Nas's first album, Illmatic, and the song Life's a Bitch. The next year, he came out with his debut album, Do or Die, which features some of the most lyrical verses and most like intricate rhyme schemes that you're ever going to find in any hip-hop album ever. Do or Die is a hip-hop classic. AZ is the most underrated rapper of all time. He never achieved any real mainstream success. I think that his talent definitely deserved that. But yeah, AZ is on the list. All right, and rounding out my list of personal top 10 favorite rappers, we have GZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. I'm a huge Wu-Tang fan, and this list would not have been complete without somebody from the Wu-Tang Clan, so I decided to roll with GZA. He's my favorite member of the Wu-Tang Clan. His solo album, Liquid Swords, can hang with any other album from the golden era of hip-hop in terms of lyrics, wordplay, rhyme schemes, all of that. GZA is the complete package, just like everyone else on this list. So, that is it. That rounds out my personal top 10 favorite rappers of all time list. I assume that most of you probably don't agree with me. Go ahead and drop your top 10 list down below. We can compare opinions. It's all a matter of personal preference. It's all subjective. There's no wrong answers, no right answers. It's all personal preference. And on that note, this brings this video to a conclusion. You've been tuning in to the Totally Justified Thinking YouTube channel. I'm your host, TJT. Hip hop lives on. You don't quit and you don't stop.